And we're back to Queering Science, Theology, Philosophy, and Spirituality, the LGBTQ Center for Science, Theology, Philosophy, and Spirituality. And we are back to part 3 of Ancient Babylon is Modern Babylon, and we stopped at part 2. We had a problem with the what do you call it, the technology. So we could not continue the video. I think my phone is a bit very busy. I think this is what is happening. So let's switch off the internet. Let's switch off the internet so that we can have a good flow. Okay, is it off? Yes, it's off. Okay, good. So we left off where we're saying about the word Babel in the Bible. In the Bible, the Hebrew people called Babel, they called it confusion. To them, the word Babel means confusion. But to the Akkadian people, Babel is actually the city of Bab Elim, which is gate of God. Bab is gate and Elim is God. And this is similar to, and it can also be the gate of the gods, because the Hebrew called gods Elohim. So this could, the Bab Elim, meaning the gate of the gods, or Bab Elohim, which is again the gate of the gods. So it was called the city of Bab Elim. So what am I trying to say? This city of Babylon was a very important city. Even till today, it's a very important city. Iraq, very important country when it comes to this topic, because it means these guys, they had, first of all, they had an understanding of what a gate is. Still in this series, we're going to study gates, and gates. And in spirituality, gates are portals, where you go and you can meet with the spiritual world. And you have to know the ancient world was very spiritual. Very spiritual. And you need to understand something about spiritual. Spiritual means powers, unseen powers, doing practices to get unseen powers. And this is what we've been even telling people. Do you know power has no language? Miracles have no language. Healing has no language. You can have a Muslim healer, you can have a pagan healer, you can have a Christian healer. You can have a Christian miracle maker, you can have a Muslim miracle maker, you can have a pagan miracle maker. You can even be an atheist and you have power. You don't believe in God, but you have power. Yes, you have mystical power. You can do healings, you can do miracles, you can do clairvoyance, you can do telepathy, you can do all of these things. And that's what you need to understand about the lifestyle, I was wondering who that was, but anyway, yes. So that's what you need to understand. You can do all of those. You can have power without language. So religion is a language, by the way. Yes, religion is a language. All religions, the data is passed by language. Like, what is the name of God? There is no name. Nobody knows the name of God. Nobody. In fact, the Hebrews did it very well. They just said YWHW. Actually, YHWH. Yes. Sorry, YHWH, the Tetragrammaton. That's all they could. They didn't know. Even till today, they don't write his name. Or some of them, the very religious ones, don't even mention it. And so many religions, some call God Diana, some call God Baal, some call God, they call God Ishtar, they call God. Yes, nobody knows. But the powers are there. Yes. And so what does this mean? That powers exist before religion. Yes. Religion is a construction of men. It's not a construction of God. Because if it was a construction of God, God would have given man religion. Yes, he would have given it. And look at how Jesus was even the one who told people, I have come from above. I have come from above. That's what he said. Now, why are we looking at Babylon? It's because these guys built a tower, of which we found in part 2, which we have already done, that it was actually a city they were building, but it had a tower that was, it had a tower, so they wanted to reach God. When we go to the story, it says, let us build a city and a tower whose top may reach unto heaven, and let us make a name, lest we be scattered abroad upon the face of the earth. Now, what happened to humans at this time? Humans were acting like Elohim. Let us build us a city. Now, go to Genesis chapter 1. What does it say? Let us make man in our image. Who are the humans talking like? They were talking like God. We are gods. We are Elohim. And that's why we are supposed to build this world to be a better place. As Michael Jackson sang, heal the world. Make it a better place. For you and for me and the entire human race. Beautiful song by Michael Jackson. And that's what we are. So you see, God is saying here in Genesis chapter 1:26, let us make man in our image. And the word God here is Elohim. It's Elohim. Then, when you go to Genesis chapter 11, where they were building the Tower of Babel, it said, let us build us a city and a tower. Are you seeing? The same language that was used by God is used by human beings. So what does it mean? We are gods. We are created in the image of God. God is a builder. We are builders. God is a destroyer. We are destroyers. That's why climate change is happening. It's because we can destroy. God destroyed the world. Who are we not to? Yes. God destroyed the world. Who are we not to? If He can destroy, we can also destroy. If He can build, we can also build. That's why the only difference between us and God is that our terrestrial body decomposes. And that's why we need to Cain, Adam and Eve. They needed to eat from the tree of life so that we can live forever. If we ate from the tree of life, you people, my goodness, we would have power, we would live, we would do immense things. The brains of ancient Egyptians would still be here today and will do wonders, meeting Mark Zuckerberg and Bill Gates, and they do wonders. And then we are going to meet the people of the year 10,000 because we are living forever. Do you know that's how heaven is? Yes. The angels live forever. Yes. The devil is the angel of God. He never dies. Never. He has been disturbing people forever. And he can't be killed. It's because he's an angel. That's what people need to understand. So back to our discussion of Babylon. So in Hebrew, Babel is confusion. But in Akkadian, Babylon or Babel is gate of God. Babel or Babel or Babel in Hebrew, or Bab-Elim or Bab Elohim in Hebrew. So the gate of the gods. So next time we're going to look at the gates architecture and why the ancient people of the world like building gates. You know, there's something very powerful about it. And cities. You know, Cain was the first city builder. And cities are very important. So now, enough of that. So what you've known is that in Hebrew, Babel is confusion, as it says here, to jumble or to confuse. But in Akkadian, Babel means gate of God or gate of gods. Now, so what you need to know is one word can mean many things. That's what we've learned today from that story. Okay, now that is Babel. Let's go to there's no internet, so I have to revive it. Okay, let's revive it. Okay, now this part of the video, I want us to look at the ancient buildings that were built by the Babylonians. Now, this is Shinar. Now, let's go back to the Bible and then we read the scripture. We read the scripture. Sorry about that. I had to switch off the internet again. We read the scripture to see what Babylon was. Now you see the name of Babel, confusion, came in chapter 11. But it actually existed in chapter 10. Very important. And in chapter 10 it says, and Cush beget Nimrod. Now Nimrod is from the line of Ham. Very, very interesting. The sons of Ham gave Cush and Mizraim, that's Egypt, Misri, and Phut, that's Somaliland, and Canaan, that's Israel. The inhabitants of Cush, Ethiopia, and Egypt, and Somaliland, and Israel were Hamites, because Canaan is Israel. When you look at it here, Canaan, a son of Ham, also a country inhabited by him. And Canaan means merchant. He's a seller. He's a trafficker. He's a businessman. So the word Canaan means businessman. And these businessmen, they went to live in the land of Israel. And it's weird. Do you know who was cursed by Noah? It was Canaan. Canaan was cursed by Noah. Very interesting that a merchant, a businessman, was cursed because of his father's sin. Now, Punt is also the name of descendants in a Persian tribe. Yeah, Libya. It's actually Libya, not Somaliland. It's Libya. It's just that when the British colonized Somalia, they called it Puntland. So that's why the confusion. But here we take Strong's tells us it is Libya. So what does this tell you? That the Iranians lived in Libya one day. Yeah. Now, Mizraim, I've told you, is Egypt, Upper and Lower Egypt. And Cush is Ethiopia, the name of the son and of his territory. You see, most countries, ancient countries, are named after leaders, and that's what we're going to see today. We're going to look today at the towns in ancient Babylon. Now, Cush begat Nimrod, and he was a mighty hunter before the Lord. Wherefore it is said, even as Nimrod, the mighty hunter before the Lord. Now, this is where we're focusing, verse 10. And the beginning of his kingdom was Babel. We have already seen it. And Erech. Now, let's look at Erech. Let us look at Erech. Erech is called Uruk today. And Uruk is Erech in ancient Greek, was an ancient city of Sumer and later of Babylonia, situated east of the present bed of the Euphrates River, an ancient channel of the Euphrates, some 30 kilometers east of Iraq. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that work. Are you seeing that design? It's very Mesopotamian. Uruk, Warka, Unug. And there it is. Good. So, Uruk was famous as the capital city of Gilgamesh. It's also believed it is the biblical Erech, which we've just read, the second city founded by Nimrod in Shinar. Now, let's go to see Shinar. So look at how old Uruk is. And what does Uruk have? It has Eanna's temple. Oh, these guys were great. And the stone temple. They built stone temples. They built all of these things. Look at the stone temple, the limestone temple, the Rimishin building. And remember, you have read who Nimrod was. He was an Egyptian. He's a relative to an Egyptian. He's an African. Yes. All the sons of Ham dwelt in Africa. That's why I always tell people Israel is part of Africa. Yes. There is no sea between Israel and Africa. Egypt is just next to Israel. And as I've told you, Canaan, the son of Ham, stayed in Israel. And Mizraim, the son of Ham, stayed in Egypt. And Phut, the son of Ham, stayed in Libya. And the other son, what's his name? I'm forgetting his name. Cush, the son of Ham, stayed in Ethiopia. And which other son have I forgotten? Yes, I think I've mentioned all of them. So Egypt, Libya, Israel, Ethiopia, Sudan, because that is where Egypt was, both Egypt and Sudan, Mizraim. Those are Africans. So Nimrod was an African, but he lived in Babylon. Yes. So they lived in Babylon and they built the city. So that is what he did. Look at these temples. Look at that. Between 4000 2000 BC. Very many temples. Very many. Unbelievable. Look at the White Temple. Unbelievable. Glorious. We are loving this. My goodness. So this is Uruk, which is Erech. Good. Now let's come to another city. Back to the Bible. We've seen Babel, which is Babylon. And we've seen Erech, which is Uruk. And then we've seen a new one is called Akkad. Now let's go and look for Akkad. Now there is the city of Akkad. It is the name of a Mesopotamian city and its surrounding area. Akkad was the capital of the Akkadian Empire, which was the dominant political force in Mesopotamia. So look at where these Africans were. The sons of Ham. They lived here. You see? There is Akkad. There is, look at these old towns. There is Assur, that's Assyria. That's Elam in Iran. That's Uruk, that's Ur. This is where Job was. That's why the book of Job, many people believe it happened before Genesis, in the sense that before the book of Genesis was written, Job was an inhabitant of Ur. And that means he was a Babylonian, that means he was an African. Because majority of the Babylonians were the children, well, you could say that majority of the Babylonians were the children of Ham, whose people are Africans. Egypt, Canaan, which is Israel, and of course not Jews. The Hebrews came here. Hebrews are from the line of Abraham, together with Arabs. And Abraham was here. This was his home, in Ur, in Babylon. That's what you need to understand. And so when Abraham left, Abraham traveled like this. He traveled to the east, to Israel. His home was here. He was a Babylonian. And genetics has proved it. There are very many Iraqis who are Hebrews. Yes, by DNA. What I mean by they are Hebrews, they are not necessarily Hebrews. They belong to a haplogroup. A haplogroup is a common ancestor group in genetics that they belong to. And that's where the Iraqis belong. Of course, Hebrews have a very specific strain. Yes, they have a strain. And that's how they know them. But they are distant relatives of Hebrews, or close relatives of Hebrews. Those include Iraqis, Iranians, and some Arabs, and some Africans, black Africans. They are close relatives of Hebrew people, but they not necessarily have the strain, the one that has the tribe of Levi and the other tribes of Israel. All right, so let's look at Akkad. Look at Akkad. And Akkad is in the King James Version, you see it's spelled like Akkad, and it's a list of cities Nimrod built. And look at the work. The Basekti statue in Dohuk, Iraqi Kurdistan, dated to the reign of Naram Sin, that is in 2254 BC to 2218 BC, with an inscription mentioning the construction of a temple in Akkad. So you see, these guys, they loved building temples. They loved building. They were very great builders. And so that is Akkad. Now let's go to another city. Kalne. Kalne. Where are you? I think Kalne is Nimrod. Yes. Now, Nimrod is an ancient city located 30 kilometers south of the city of Mosul. And the name Nimrod was recorded by the local name by Kasten Nibhur. But in the Bible, it is called Kalhu. Oh, actually, it's not. It's not the city. So we'll come back to it later on. Kalne in the land of Shinar. So his kingdom was in Shinar, which is Babylon, and where it had the cities Babel, Uruk, Akkad, and Kalne. I haven't found Kalne. I don't know where I put it. Let me see if I really search for it. Maybe I did. Oops, sorry about that. Okay. Um, okay. Okay, no problem. We have seen the cities. Now let's go to verse 11. Out of that land went forth Ashur. Who is Ashur? And builded Nineveh. So Ashur came from the land of Babylon, where Nimrod had built his city. So these guys were basically builders, and they were building their kingdoms. And Ashur is the second son of Shem, also his descendants, and the country occupied them, Assyria. Are you seeing that? Ashur is the second son of Shem. He's not a Hamite. He's not the son of Ham. He's the son of Shem. And he built Nineveh. Now let's look at Nineveh. Nineveh was an ancient Assyrian city of Upper Mesopotamia located on the outskirts of Mosul. See how Mosul, it's very funny. No wonder there are very many wars in Iraq. These guys are really, there's something great about Iraq. It has history. It's teeming with history. It's teeming with mystique. And I think that's the reason that's why there have been wars there. And look, no wonder oil is so much in Iraq and Iran. Yes, the Middle East is oil rich for one reason. Many people lived there. And they lived there many years ago. So that's what you need to understand. Okay, let's go on. So Nineveh was the largest city in the world for some 50 years. Of course, we don't want to look at its recent lifestyle. The city was also known as Nini or Ni in ancient Egyptian, Ninua, Ninawa, Nineveh in Persian, and Nabi Yunus, that is Prophet Jonah, Koyugnik, was according to Eliad a Turkish name, and it was Amosher by the Arabs and thought to have connection with the Kara Koyunul dynasty. So they are telling you the story of Prophet Jonah was he was in Nineveh. There's a story that he went to Nineveh, and that's what happened. And the beauty of Nineveh, Assyrians were Semites. Now those ones were even closer to Jews than Hamites. Yes, because Hebrews are Semites. Sorry, I'm going to show it to you in a few minutes. So this is Nineveh, and the old Assyrian Empire during the reign of Shamish Adad in 1800 BC was the center of the worship of Ishtar, whose cult was responsible for the city's early importance. The goddess's statue was sent to Pharaoh Amenhotep III by orders of the king of Mitanni. So Ishtar, Ishtar is Venus. Yes, it's the planet Venus, and she's worshipped. It's a sex fertility cult. So you must know Babylonians, Hamites, and Semites, because these were Semites. Semites lived here, and they were very horny and holy. Yes, horniness is holiness in these ancient religions, and holiness is horniness. So that's what you need to know about the cult of Ishtar. And we're going to do a series about the temple prostitution and the sex cults of the ancient world. They have died down, very few of them. Majority of sex cults remain in India, and it's because of the Abrahamic religions like Christianity and Islam that do not really encourage sexual proclivities, but the ancient religions encourage it. Okay, so we don't want to go to the deep and wide about it. And Ashur in Hebrew verse is the country of Assyria rather than a person, thus making Nimrod rather than Ashur, the founder of Nineveh. So these commentators are saying that when you read Ashur, it is not Ashur a person, it is Nineveh, it is Nimrod who built Ashur, which should be called Assyria. But for other people, they say no, Ashur is the son of Shem, so it is him who built that he built Nineveh. So there's some confusion as to who built Nineveh. Okay, good. Let's finish. We're done with Nineveh. And Resen between Nineveh and Kala, the same, is a great city. So another great city was built, and it is called, the same city was called Nineveh and Kala. And we've seen Nineveh, so let's look at Kala. Oh, there's another city, Resen. Let's see if we did we collect Resen? I don't see Resen anywhere. We finish with Ashur. Okay, Kala is Nimrod, it's a city, and it was also a capital city of the empire. And look at it, this is what they say in the biblical name of Kalhu, the biblical Kala. So this is Nimrod, the city. Look at how beautiful it is. These guys were massive builders. Unbelievable. 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 And look at them. It's in Iraq. There it is. There is Kala. There is Nimrod. And you see the reason why the world or humanity lived in Iraq? This water was found in the desert. The Middle East is a desert, roughly. But where there was water, especially rivers, human beings stayed. That's why Nigeria is very populated. It's because it has very many rivers. And they stay, human beings like places of rivers because they can drink water, they can bathe, they can do a lot of things in the river. So this is the city Kala. Okay, we are done with that one. I think we can leave that one. Oops. Good. Oh, we've not found Resen. So I wanted us to look at the sons of Shem. And Shem, that's very interesting. Okay, I don't see Shem. Yes, this is the sons of Shem: Eber, Japheth. Okay, the children of Shem are Elam, Ashur, Arphaxad, Lud, and Aram. Now, the father of all children of Eber. Yes, so Eber was a brother of Japheth. This is very weird. I'm wondering. Let me not get into this. I'm going to have to sit down and look at that. There's some confusion. They have not written it very well. At least for the sons of Ham and Japheth, it's very clear. Japheth has his sons, but when it comes to the sons of Shem, they have not really cleared it out like I thought they would. So enough of that. Now, we have seen Nimrod cities. Now we want to finish the video discussing, let's discuss the other cities. Rehoboth is a city. Is also another city. I don't know what I was looking for when I was doing this research, so I'll close that one. And I want us to look at the buildings. Okay, let's look at Shinar. So this is Shinar, and it is Babylon. It's the location is evident from description: Babel, Babylon, and Uruk, southern Babylonia. So you see, this is where Babylon is. It's in Iraq, and Uruk is there, and Ur Very beautiful. And Nineveh is there. So you see, the story of Jonah is very interesting. I wonder how he got that that far. I mean, how was he? Where was he running? Was he in this lake? I don't know. Then he refused to go there, so he was there. In fact, what could it be? Could it be the story of Jonah is very ancient? We will find out later. Find out about that later on. So Shinar is Babylon. Okay, we're done with that. Now let us look at the buildings of these guys, these Babylonians. Look at them. Very beautiful. Oops, I've lost it. Okay. How will I get it back? I know how to get it back. I don't want to put the internet on. Okay, I don't want to put the internet on. It may confuse me. So let's go to the other, what do you call it? The landmarks of Iraq or Babylon, and then we'll be done. Now, this is Amedia, the ancient town of the true Magi. Look at that. These guys lived on rocks. See? Look at that. And look at Iraq. Are you seeing how green it is? It's a very beautiful country. And this is why many people lived there. Look at that. Bekal Spring. Now look at the world's first. This is what we want to look at. The Sumerian cities. The oldest existing ark in Ur. Are you seeing how they built? You see? And it's beautiful. Look at, this is just similar to the ancient Zimbabwean ruins, where they put the bricks like that, the stones. And as I told you, these were the sons of Ham, the father of black Africans, and also Shem, Shem's children, because Shem's children also stayed in the midst of Ham's children, who are Egyptians and Africans, black Africans, you know. Egyptians are Africans. And it doesn't, in fact, listen, one thing we're going to do next time is to demystify race, color. It's really not there. We are shades. We are in a spectrum. We are in a rainbow of colors. So you find, even amongst black people, there are some who are very black, and those ones should be Cushites, according to the Bible. Then you have those who are not so black. They're in the middle chocolate. They are a mixture of Cushites and Egyptians. Then you have the light-skinned Arabs who are also Africans, and it's because of where they live. They live in the Mediterranean Sea, so the weather does not have an effect, does not force them to make a lot of melanin, so they become light-skinned. And then you have the whites, the children of Japheth, or not necessarily children of Japheth, because they just happen to be white because they are away from the equator. And if you notice, if you look at the world, the map, the closer you are to the equator, the darker you are. And the farther you are from the equator, the lighter skinned you are. And that's weird. It's because the sun is what causes us to color. Okay, so look at Ur. Very beautiful ark. And you see, Ur existed, first large settlement, 3600 BC. And the major building we were looking for is the ziggurat, the largest city in the world, sometimes around 2000 BC. Uruk, the oldest metropolis in the world, since 4000 BC. My friend, people have been living and they've been enjoying life. Yeah, look at that. Look at that drawing by the Assyrians. You see, Babylon is called Babel. That's its name. Gate of God, or Gate of Gods, Babylon. Okay, I just wanted to look at the pictures and then we have closed. Kirkuk, you see, very old. I wish you could see this picture. I know I am having a problem with the internet, so that's why I am not going to attempt. Anyway, so basically, what was part 3 of Ancient Babylon is Modern Babylon all about? It was about the cities in geographical Babylon, and we have seen them, and we have loved what we've seen. We have seen the genetics, we have seen the architecture, we have seen what happened and the importance of Iraq to the human race. You know, even when ISIS has been fighting, they have been destroying very many ancient relics and buildings. It is sad, because when you destroy a building, you lose its story. Yes, evidence is gone. You can't prove that somebody existed there or a community existed there because you've destroyed it. So that's what you need to understand about Babylon and other countries like Syria. So anyway, I'm just happy to go through this history. I love history very much. And the reason why we're doing this, we are showing you people that ancient Babylon is modern Babylon. And what was Babylon? Is the gate of God. So the ancient gate of God is the modern gate of God. And the world is going back to those days. The only problem we have is language. However, we may speak very many languages and we now translate them. That's what we do. You just translate. So we can understand each other, but the process is very, very hard and slow. But the fact is, united, like now we have the United Nations. That is the modern Babylon. And I support it 100%. Why do I support it? For this reason. Ancient Babylon, they were building a city and a tower. They were becoming very powerful. They realized their godness, their godship. And when they realized their godship, they built. And then it is said, we don't know if it happened, that God came to scatter the languages, and that's how they got languages. We don't know. I don't want to speculate. I wasn't there. But if you take that explanation, remember in that story of the confusion, what does God say? Does he say, and the Lord said, what's the name of the Lord? Yehovah. This is a very important thing. Even we're going to do a video about deep literal interpretation. Deep literal interpretation, it's my formulation, is whereby you interpret the scriptures in a way that you believe that even an error in the scriptures is holy. It was supposed to be an error. You know, like there's a place whereby there's a king whose mother was the mother of his son. So it's very confusing. That's an error, because how is it that the mother was the mother of the son who succeeded him? But according to my new interpretation, deep literal interpretation of text, that error is allowed, and you will interpret the scripture as per the error. So what I'm trying to say is, every word is important. Even Jesus had that life of deep literal interpretation, whereby he said every jot and tittle. You know, a jot is a very small marking in Hebrew, and tittle even that one will be past. So Jesus was so literal in his interpretation of the scriptures that he called it, that he said even the jot should be read. So now when you see here the word Lord, look at the word Lord here. It's Yehovah. It's not Adonai and it's not El. So Yehovah came down to see the city and the tower. And Yehovah, the self-existing, eternal. And Yehovah said, behold, the people is one, and they have all one language, and they begin to do, and now nothing will be restrained from them which they have imagined to do. You see, Yehovah was scared, not Elohim. Yehovah, he was scared. Or to some people, they think Yehovah is also a she because of the feminine. And the feminine And so, what did they say in verse 7? Go to. Let us go down. Who? Not let me go down. Let us go down. So does this mean Yehovah is also plural? It's a plural entity. Let us go down and confound their language, that they may not understand one another's speech. So, Yehovah is a plural God, just like Elohim. It's unbelievable. So it's very funny that Jehovah, like you have the Jehovah's Witnesses, who is Jehovah? Is it a one God? No. From this verse, Yehovah or the Lord is plural, because he said, let us go. Let us go down. Because they came down to see the city and the tower. And what did he say? These guys are one, and nothing will be restrained from them which they have imagined to do. It's wonderful. I'm laughing because I have a new Bible and I want to leave it the Message Bible, and we're going to close this video with reading that from the Message Bible. It makes me laugh to heaven. I have so many Bibles here. I'm reading Bibles because I want to study language, not necessarily read the Bible. I've read the Bible more than enough times, and I still read it, but for knowledge purposes. Okay, so I stumbled on the Message Bible and I couldn't stop laughing, and we're going to end the video with the Message Bible. Where is it? Okay, no, not Bible Hub. There it is, the Message Bible. So let's read Genesis 11. It's so funny, my goodness. God turned their language into Babel. Now look at how they're playing with the word language. And we'll also have a section where we look at linguistics. It's very funny. You see Babel, babbling, and it's the same with the Bible. Okay, so let's read it. Then God came down. So you see here, they don't use the name Lord, they use the name God, and it's a plural. God took one look and said, one people, one language. Why, this is only a first step. No, tell him what they'll come up with next. They'll stop at nothing. Come, we'll go down and gobble their speech so they won't understand each other. Then God scattered them. So look at how they're saying it. It's in modern English, and they are saying, come, we'll go down. So my emphasis on the we, the plural God, Elohim. And today we have learned Yehovah is also plural. plural. And we have also learned the word Lord that was in the King James Version. You see the problem of the English translation of the Bible, which is not a problem. Philosophically, it's not a problem, because even if you call God one, many gods exist in that one God. Yes. Even if you call it Lord, many lords exist in that one Lord. Yes. That's what you need to understand. So even when you read the word Lord, to you it is in singular, but singular is plural. And it's a fact. Even in English, singular is plural, because many cows are the same as one cow, because they are all cows. And many lords is the same as one lord, because they are all lords. So that's why the one Lord can also be the many lords. And the one God can also be the many gods, because they are gods. It's power. It's just that they are many. Quantum religion and philosophy. Quantum religion and philosophy, meaning sub-particles. You can divide God into pieces. Yes. Do you know the world has 7.7 billion gods? We are gods. 7. We are all gods. That's what the Bible says in Psalms 82 verse 6. And then, so whenever you read the word God, you don't have to read it in a singular. Sometimes you're reading the plural, because in Hebrew, and I think the Hebrew is the best, because the way it has been written, the Hebrew is written, they have the singular and plural God. So when they're talking of the singular God, they say Eloah. When they're talking about the many gods, they say Elohim. When they're talking about Yehovah, it is Lord. You see? Lords. Yes. So in the King James Version, even here in the message, it should have been gods. The gods. So it's beautiful. So we are actually, all religions are polytheistic. There is really no religion that is monotheistic. But even if you have a monotheistic religion, it is still polytheistic. Like me. You see, I'm one man now, but I have many personalities. That means I have many Arthurs. Yes. There's an Arthur who is choleric. There's an Arthur who is sanguine. There's an Arthur who is phlegmatic. There's an Arthur who is all of these, the personalities you know in psychology. So those are different Arthurs. There's an introverted Arthur. There's an extroverted Arthur. There is, and then if you're a pantheist, it's even worse. You have your Christian Arthur. You have your Muslim Arthur. You have your Hindu Arthur. You have your Buddhist Arthur. You have your atheist Arthur. And I'm just one, but I have very many personalities. So that's how God is, and that's how gods are. So when you see the word as singular is plural, the difference is not what it is. The difference is the quantity. Yes, spirits. And you know personalities, they're just spirits. Yeah. They are just spirits. And some people have more spirits than others. Some gods have more spirits than others. That's why some humans are more powerful than others. And just because they are powerful doesn't mean you don't fight them. Are you seeing what's happening in France? The protesters are fighting the government. Yeah, they are fighting. We know who has more power. It's the government. But that doesn't mean protesters who are weaker can't fight them. They can fight. And someone who wins a battle has most likely the same power as you. And someone who is beaten in a war or in a battle has less power than that person. So we are always in power struggles because we are gods. Wake up and enjoy life. Yes, we are all gods. The only problem about our godship, our God life, is we are terrestrial. We are terrestrial. We are gods in the spirit, celestially. In the outer space, because when you die, you go into the spirit world, the air. That's where you are, and that's where you go. But but because I'm alive, I am terrestrial. I can live in the world. You see, it's very hard for a Martian, a citizen of Mars, to live in Earth, because the gases in Mars are not the gases in Earth. That's what you need to understand. The gases in Saturn, and by this, Saturn is not even a terrestrial planet. Beautiful science we'll look at next time. The 4 planets of the world, beginning with Mercury, Earth, Venus, and Mars. Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars, they are all terrestrial planets, which is very interesting. But after Mars, all the planets are gaseous. So there must be something. The closer you are to Earth, the more terrestrial you are. And the farther you are from Earth, the less terrestrial, and therefore the more celestial you are. And those planets are celestial. It's beautiful. So understand that this is what God is. We are gods, and we are one with God. Yes. And everybody. Yes, everybody. I know it is so hard for you to understand. Everybody. God is in everybody. I'm telling you, it's a very hard teaching, but you'll understand it. With time, we'll keep on telling it to you, like what we've explained. Okay, guys, thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time.